So I'm here with the mama. We're having a really great conversation, and the mama's talking about the first house that we had in Oceanside, which we loved, which was a real wreck, and she bought it. Well, I'll let my mom talk, but the stuff here is just, I said, let me get this on tape. I want to, for posterity, in a million years when you're not here anymore. Okay, so what were we saying?
Hi, Stacy. Alice just put a great salesmanship job into me really talking to you about what I just told him. And I have to tell you, it's really my pleasure to do this because I really wish somebody would have done this for me. But it was many, many years ago, and Bruce and I, we were about to embark on buying a house. We didn't have any money at all. I mean, really, no money. And I guess nobody really has money. But I personally never let that get in my way because I always knew that I would be able to save whatever I needed, and then I would get what I needed. That was my way. But now we have a situation of buying a house, which was a little bit more than I could afford to save that big bulk, because I was still basically paying for myself to live. And so Bruce and I, we said, okay, we'll buy a house, much against Bruce's wishes, because all he really wanted to do was live in an apartment. He didn't want to do any work. He didn't want to be responsible for anything that's broken, etc., etc. And I said to him, I'm not going to live in an apartment, period. I'm not. And it'll be a shame that we're married and we'll be living in two different places. And of course that was kind of like a left-handed joke, but he started listening to me, and we went, searching for homes, and we finally found a house that was in the area that I wanted to be in. And my best friend happened to live in the same area, Aunt Sandy, Uncle Larry, and I said, and it was a fabulous school system, which was very important to me, because you need to think about all these things when you do buy a house. And so we found a house, and we took my mom, she should rest in peace, to see the house. And my mom kind of grabbed me on my shoulder, on my arm, and she pulled me aside, and she said to me, Dale, now I knew this was going to be good. I knew, just from her tone, you kind of get to know people's tones. So I kind of straightened myself up, and I said, yes. And she said, I'm begging you, please don't buy this house. It was a handyman special. It was. It was deplorable. It was. But I said to her, Mom, be a futurist. Think about not today, the way it looks today. Think about it tomorrow. After Bruce and I get our hands on this cute little mansion, that's what we're going to turn it into. It's going to be absolutely adorable. And I think that, in my opinion, from the three houses that we've been in, that will always be my favorite house. And only because Bruce and I built it. We did. We took one room at a time. We didn't do one thing for this room, one thing for that room. Because then when you start doing that, nothing ever gets done. You have to do one room first, complete that task, then go on whatever to the next room. And so basically following that, I remember that we had bought these kind of doors, because we had a separation between the dining room and the living room, and I wanted that to be able to be put so when we had people over
French
for
doors?
dinner. No, it's not called a French door. It's like a jalousie door or a whatever. But that was really the door. I mean, two of them. One door on this side, one door on this side. It was like not real wide, but I knew that my vision was it would look so cute. So we went and we bought them, and there they were lying on the floor in the living room. Because again, the living room was deplorable. And Daddy said, I can't do this. What you want me to do, you want me to really hang this up? I've never done that before. I don't know how to do this. And I said, sure you do. You can do anything. I know you can do it. And what's the worst thing that could happen? And do you know, I remember actually saying this to him. I said, what's the worst thing that could happen? He said, well, I said, I'll answer that for you. The worst thing that could happen is you'll break it. So what? We break a lot of things in our lives. But you gotta try. That I'm gonna say you gotta try. And guess what? He hung it up. It looked absolutely adorable. He painted it because it was, just wood at the time. But I wanted it to be white. And it just finished off that room so beautifully. And from that point on, there was nothing Bruce wouldn't try. Nothing. Because he knew the mama would say, you can do it. We'll do it together. You don't have to do it alone. We'll do it together. So what else did you want me to say?
Well, earlier you were saying, I asked you if years later if your mother had reconciled or said, glad you got that house or anything.
Okay, no, not to me, but my best friend today used to work with my mom, and she would confide. What's the word?
Confide in you.
Confide in my friend about many different issues. And again, I've always said that many books have been written about mother-daughter relationships. And either it's there or it's not. And mine was never there. And my friend told me, because she became really good, close friends with my mother. And she would tell me things all the time. Your mom loves your house. She can't believe what you guys have done to it. Again, never saying it to me, never saying it to Bruce, but she would tell my friend that she can't believe what we did to the house. We redid every room. We built an upstairs. It was a very big attic, and we built rooms. Each boy, Hollis and Marshall, had their own room. I don't know if you remember it well.
Very well, yeah.
Daddy did such a fabulous job. There was only, I think, 2 things that we paid people to do, and that was hanging up brand new, I forget the name of the windows, the top name windows. That's what we bought, because I felt that Bruce, Daddy always convinced me, a cheap man pays twice. Just let's do it right the first time. So we did. We bought the best possible windows, and we had decided that because if Bruce would drop it for whatever reason, there goes that money. But if we hire someone, it'll cost a little bit more, but they would be responsible for any dangerous thing. So that was a wise decision. And then it was such a big, if you could picture an attic, it was huge. And that whole thing had to be taped, and the wood, whatever you call that, had to be put up, and it was just a lot of physical work. And so we decided to hire a person to help us with that. And other than that, voila, there's a beautiful, what would you call it? It was fabulous.
It was wonderful. But Grandma was never able to really,
What Grandma did, however, because it was for you and Marshall, she went and bought the most expensive air conditioner for you guys. Because she didn't want you guys to be upstairs in a very hot place. And she went ahead and she bought it. And because it was for you guys, which was really great.
Can you tell us the story? I always love the story about the Grandpa Joe and the nursery school money or something like that.
It was always important, I feel, that when you have children, you really can't put a child in front of a TV all the time. Sometimes it's fine. I learned a lot watching Sesame Street. So, I mean, just depends on the situation. But I knew that Hollis was the firstborn, and he was, truthfully, a handful. And
Oh, yes.
we took him around a few nursery schools. And the one nursery school that he absolutely fell in love with, he just knew that he belonged there. So I signed him up, and I knew that it was kind of expensive, but I didn't worry about it because knowing me, I knew somewhere, somehow, I'd, whatever, save the money, whatever. I would probably want to pay it out each month, whatever, dividing it monthly and giving them their money. Grandma Audrey and Grandpa Joe, they had come to visit us that day, and I got a phone call, and I excused myself, and the sunroom was right next to the kitchen, so I went to the kitchen to get the phone, but it wasn't much privacy, so obviously they heard me on the phone, and the big macha, the head of this place, called me to ask me, they didn't receive my check yet for Hollis to go to nursery school. And I said, no, I was going to pay it out every month. And I was at that point $90 short. And the gentleman on the phone said, well, I'm going to be honest with you, if you can't afford to pay for this, then you can't afford for your son to come here. So either you pay the bill or that's it, it's over. I said, okay, thank you very much. I appreciate you calling. And I hung up the phone, and a couple of tears came from my eyes because I knew I couldn't come up with $90. I knew that my mother had $90, but I could never really come out and ask her for the $90. I don't know why. Maybe pride, whatever. I turned around, and on the table in the sunroom was $90. My father-in-law, Hollis's Grandpa Joe, put the $90 on the table. And I have to say that Grandpa Joe and Grandma Audrey never believed in camp. They never believed in nursery school. They never believed in anything above public school. So that $90, it wasn't just the fact that they made it possible for Hollis to go where he wanted to go. They went against how they felt about their own children, and they gave Hollis the money to go where he wanted to go. And I think that's what it's all about. Trying to change how we are just as people and look at somebody else's situation and appreciate the situation that they're in. And if there's something that someone can do to make it better for that person, what's the problem in helping? I never felt that it was a problem. That if my kids needed whatever it was, they were going to have it. I remember going and standing on line for hours to get Hollis one of those dolls.
Cabbage Patch Kids.
The Cabbage Patch Kid. Hours. And then when I came home with it, stupid me only got one. I didn't get one for Marshall. I'd never thinking he would want one.
Well, there was a deal we made where he saw something that was similar, but it was a ripoff, and it was called Ignatz. And then you guys said we can get you Ignatz now, or you can wait like Hollis is going to wait for the Cabbage Patch Kid. And I waited because although lacked patience, some things I've always had discipline and patience with. And I knew that there was no imitation for a Cabbage Patch Kid. So Marshall got Ignatz, and a few weeks later, not that long after, I got Reagan Skipper, his name was, in 1984. The end. Thank you.
We do the best we can for those we love, and sometimes there's no rhyme or reason. But I think that when you love unconditionally, you got to do what you got to do. And basically, I will never forget Grandpa Joe and his $90.
Thank you. Great story. Thank you.